Okay, we're here to discuss something that really affects all of us. Whether you have a child or grandchild in school, it's irrelevant. If you live in Sherman Oaks, you better be concerned about your schools. You better be pushing elected officials and supervisors to make sure that we have the best possible schools, both for the future of LA and also in a microcosm, in order to make sure that this is a desirable area for people to live in. People make decisions on where they want to buy homes, in part based on the quality of the schools in that area. So it's a very, very important subject matter. The two speakers this evening are critical to that process. One is on my far left, Tamar Galatzan. Close enough. Who is the elected member of the Board of Education representing this area. And to her right is the new superintendent of schools, Ramon Cortines. And we're going to discuss what's happening in the school district. First, I'd like to introduce Tamara to give us some information, and then introduce our speaker. That's pretty live.
Hi everyone. Richard's wife was just joking she's a preschool teacher, and the reason why Richard can't pronounce my name is he never went to preschool. I think there's something to that. I'm Tamar Galatzan. I am the board member who represents all of Sherman Oaks. I represent about half of the San Fernando Valley in the very logically drawn district that goes from Toluca Lake all the way up to Porter Ranch, diagonally through the San Fernando Valley, which, as we can tell, is a very logically drawn district. And I've been there about 2 years. So I just wanted to talk really briefly about some of the things that I've been working on for the past 2 years, and then talk in particular about what's going on in our public schools here in Sherman Oaks. And then give it to the superintendent to talk a little bit about what's been going on of late, and then open it up to your questions. So my, I think, second board meeting, the first one was me, asking Marlene Cantor, who sits next to me every 2 minutes, what button do I press to make the microphone work, and where's the bathroom, and those important things. So the second meeting, I get a board book that's, about this thick, several inches thick, and in it I see all these contracts for hundreds of thousands of dollars for things, and some of them are only identified by a number. It's contract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for $892,000. And you have to dig and find out what it's for. And I asked around and I said, I thought board members are supposed to approve any contract over $250,000. And a bunch of people looked at me like I was on drugs, and they said, oh, well, that's the law, but we don't actually do that, just vote for it. And I said, well, I'm not going to vote for it. I mean, that's what I was elected to do, was to find out what these contracts are for, and if it's a good use of money, and that's why I was elected. And I got, and all this obviously is predates the superintendent, and I got, the version of kind of, don't worry your pretty little head about it, just vote for it, because most of these contracts have already been executed, they're 3/4 of the way finished, and you can't do anything about it either. So I started voting against all of them, and I realized very quickly that it doesn't mean anything until you get 3 of your colleagues to vote against it. And then so I did that, I lobbied them, and we got to the point where all of a sudden the district realized, wow, the board actually wants to see those contracts, and they want to approve them beforehand, just like the law says. And so that was really my first, second board meeting, learning this and really seeing kind of some of the things that I've been up against. And then really trying to take that responsibility as some sort of fiscal watchdog seriously. And I know certainly under this superintendent, it's been a much more of a partnership, trying to find those contracts that we shouldn't be spending money on, or that could be done in-house, or there's no benchmarks to say whether that was a good use of money last year or not. Why are we spending the same money this year? Or all of those questions that I know a lot of people are nodding their heads about. Some of you, and then the other thing I realized is sometimes when you ask questions, the contract disappears and you never see it again. One of my favorite, again, is predates the superintendent. I don't even know if you know this story. there was a contract for $900,000 for laundered gym towels. So you didn't know that. For over 3 years, the district had a contract for $900,000 for laundered gym towels. And I hit the roof. And I said, my son goes to, at that point, kindergarten. My son is in kindergarten at LA Unified at a school without a PE teacher, but we have $900,000 to launder gym towels for our high school athletes. You know, I go to the gym, I bring my own towel, I'm sure many of us do as well. And I threw a fit, and the staff retracted and said they were going to study the issue. And that was about 1.5 years ago, and they're still studying it. And we no longer have laundered gym towels in the schools, and I don't think anyone ever noticed. But you know, we're in a different situation certainly now. But that's been kind of my start on the board. One of the other issues that I have been working on a lot, and this is something that really didn't cost much money, and it's a kind of a natural for me, it is obviously the law enforcement issue and trying to figure out a way to maximize the resources of both the Los Angeles School Police Department, many of you know we have our own police department, and LAPD and some of the other law enforcement agencies that cover. And I was in a unique situation because all of you know I'm also a neighborhood prosecutor, and I work out of the Van Nuys LAPD station, and I also cover some of the same schools with my school board hat on. So one day I'm sitting at the police station, and my BlackBerry rings, and it's the school police telling me about a suspected gang shooting, a shots fired call at Grant High School. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Grant High School is in Van Nuys Division. Why is there no one running around crazy, running out the door because of a shots fired call? Because that's what happens, certainly at a school. So I walk into the captain's office, and I show him my BlackBerry. I'm like, how come no one told me there was a shots fired call at Grant? And he got very stern. He said, what shots fired call at Grant? And we started realizing where some of the gaps were in the communication between LAPD and the school police, and it worked both ways. You know, one agency would get a copy of something that happened, and the other agency happened to have arrested the person, but they didn't know about it, those types of things. So one of the things that we realized really quickly was a totally free solution to a part of the problem is every day LAPD sends out to all these stations a list of noteworthy incidents that happened the day before, and school police was doing the exact same thing, but they weren't sending them to each other. So we put each other on their email list, and that solved that whole problem. It was free. It took 5 minutes. But you know, those have been kind of some of the issues that we managed to work on to try to improve the communication between the issues. One of the other issues that I spent a lot of time working on, certainly more time than I ever thought, was fighting with the Department of Water and Power about LA Unified doing solar projects on our campuses. The district had signed a 10-year contract 10 years ago that basically prohibited us from doing solar projects on our campuses. The contract was expiring, and we got into a pretty big battle with the Department of Water and Power because they really were not supportive of the district doing solar projects on campus, for reasons that to this day are beyond me. There's certainly a lot of speculation. So I spent a lot of time working with facilities in LA Unified to basically fight with DWP, and it was outrageous to me because if the city really is committed to doing solar projects throughout the city. There is a public school campus everywhere in our city with rooftops and parking lots and all sorts of places where we can install solar, and the district even has bond money to pay for it. And just the fight with DWP was really eye-opening, but we did get the incentives that we need to do projects, including a large one at Canoga Park High School that hopefully we will break ground on in the next month.